It had all just become about numbers. It were about a CEO that was sat behind a desk that didn't care about the clients.
Welcome, everyone. My guest today is Georgina Henfrey, co-founder and director of Kestrel Estates. Welcome to the Growth Diary. Great
Well,
to have you.
thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure. So, firstly, you left the corporate estate agency world for after becoming a bit disillusioned with its focus on profit over people. So, what was the turning point for me to say, "Do you know what, enough's enough. I'm going to do my own thing now"?
So I'd been in the corporate world for that long that it had all just become about numbers. It were about a CEO that was sat behind a desk that didn't care about the clients. And I'd done it at managerial level, I'd done it at everything else. And then I got to the point I was just like, why is it that you have to list X amount to keep your job? Why is it that you have to take X amount of price reductions to be able to hit a target that a CEO is like literally creating that doesn't care about the client? So what we were finding, especially with the industry, is that sales were falling through because it wasn't about the individual. It wasn't about helping them. It wasn't about going the extra mile to find answers, but it were about creating money in mortgages. It were about creating money from selling to other people that didn't necessarily care what they were getting, or forcing them into properties that weren't right for them. I think that's one of the main things really, is it didn't matter about the individual. And I got to the point I was just like, I've got Anne whose roof is falling in, but you don't care because you want that to complete next week so that it'll hit a figure, but that person's going to move into a property where it's all falling apart. And I think that there was so much emphasis and targets on the individuals that they forgot about the customer. And it was, I need to make X amount of money to be able to do this so I can keep my job. And it wasn't about them. It wasn't about the biggest financial transaction of someone's life. It were about feeding a CEO sat behind a desk who is completely disconnected from what is happening on the front line. I got to a point, I moved to Australia, and in Australia, you have to be at a certain level. The customer service levels have to be there. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And you're never going to get any commission. You're never going to win a listing. Basically, I just turned around and I says, I want what I had in Australia, and it didn't exist. So it was, right, well, if it doesn't exist and it's all about the corporate way, it's all about targets and ways in which things are driven that way, screw it. I'll create, which don't get me wrong, it's been an eventful journey.
You launched Kestrel Estates just before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And lost big time when the market froze. I mean, that was a really difficult time for a lot of businesses, especially real estate. And then you rebuilt from zero
Yeah.
effectively. Would you agree?
So I came back, I had a budget to be able to set everything up. Obviously, when you start in a new estate agency, it's all about marketing, because if you're not marketing heavily, people don't know you exist. They're not going to come to you if they don't know who you are. I always got told that when it comes to marketing, there has to be 15 touch points before a person actually builds trust within that individual. You have to hit them 15 times before they're even going to consider coming to you or even think about you. So the
Yeah.
money that we had set aside was solely to be ploughed into marketing so that we could set up quite quickly and quite aggressively. We got to a point that we set up in November 19. We started putting our marketing out and they closed the markets. And it meant that no transaction could happen at all. But it wasn't just that. It was, we still had to cover all of the overheads. And because we hadn't been running for 2 years, there were no government
Yeah.
support. So there were no furlough. I weren't entitled to any type of benefit at all. Suppliers were giving you small breaks, but you still had to cover the overheads to keep it open. And because we didn't know how long it was going to take, it was right, can we risk another month? Can we risk another month? And then all of a sudden everything was gone. And so when the markets did open back up, what I'd done during that time was basically try and build myself organically, use social media and use free ways of advertising to try and do so. It was hard. It was hard going to start off with, but I think because I've been in the industry for that long and I got the knowledge in it and the expertise in it, that came across really, really well.
Yeah.
And it built trust. So that then when I were going out, it wasn't that I was going to market a property with a toilet seat up or
Mm.
someone's mucky underpants on a radiator and just the rubbish marketing that came with estate agency at that time, because up until quite recently, estate agents have never had to up the game because it's always been what works. If it works, don't fix it. Whereas what I'd seen in Australia, I needed to bring that back and create something where you are marketing a property. You are not just a data controller and you're not doing it just for a fee. You're doing it to actually help that individual and get them as much money as possible. So rebuilding it was a lot harder when we've got no money behind us to get our marketing out, but it meant that we
Yes.
had to go again. But that wasn't the first time. That obviously that was the first time that that had happened. And then we built up. We did really, really well. We got trust behind us. I took on a new agent, self-employed. And the reason why I did self-employed route was so that they had to give 100% care and attention to that individual. Otherwise, they weren't going to get paid. And if
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the difference between going corporate and going down a self-employed route, is that that person genuinely cares about that transaction completing, because if not, they don't get the money to pay for their own mortgage or their own life. Um,
Absolutely.
it just looks after me. Oh,
It's amazing that you found the mindset, like to, to come from that, to then just keep going, because so many people would have just gone, "Do you know what? It's a sign. I'm going to just stop now. I'll just do something else." But you just thought, no, screw it. I'm going to keep going. And now look at you.
do you know what? If you don't back yourself, no one else is going to. I always think that if you get hit down to rock bottom, there's only one way to go, and that's to go up. And if you're going to put the effort in and that time, and you've got your set, clear mind as to where you want to go and what you want to achieve, you will get there. And when I was a kid, it always wound my mum up because she was like, "You're so determined that you won't take no for an answer." And I was like, "No, I won't take no for an answer, because there is a way to do what I want to do, even if I've got to go a long way around it. I'll find another way to get there, but I will find a solution. And it might take a bit longer to do it. And I'll fall in between. It's about getting what you want. And if you put the effort in, you're going to get there." Um,
Yeah, yeah.
I learned some mistakes along the way.
Well, everyone makes mistakes in business. It's just about how you learn from them, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
And failing better, you know. And so you've expanded across multiple locations within Yorkshire. So you've got new agents and you've got new divisions. You've got now an investment arm.
Yeah.
And so how do you balance like hands-on leadership with stepping back? Because I mean, look, obviously your ideal is to step back from the operations and then have a more of a holistic view of the business. How are you going to manage that?
So the way in which I've done it, so each agent that comes in, we do a 2-week intense. They are locked in a room with me, learning it inside and out. We'll still go out. We still give them that direct support one-on-one whenever they need it anyway. But we've created a culture where everybody helps each other. So in most self-employed models that are out there now, it's that you come in, you're self-employed, you run your own business however you want, but you are completely on your own. I didn't want that. I wanted it where there could be an office environment where people can come in and it's not lonely. I wanted it where if you wanted to take a holiday, you could take a holiday because someone else is going to be able to cover what it is that you're doing. If you're sick and you can't answer the phone, someone else is there to be able to pick it up. If it's that you are rubbish at marketing, there's a full marketing team that's going to do all that for you. And if it's that you don't know much about shouting at solicitors, which don't get me wrong, a lot of this game is shouting at solicitors, because if you're not, they're not going to do anything. Wait for it to pile up, and whoever shouts the loudest, they're the ones that get the attention. So we said, right, take all that away from the individual, and that allows them to do what it is that they want to do. And I think creating that culture has then meant that I can take a step back because everybody's helping each other. They've had the training, they know everything that's happening, they know that they can come to me whenever they've got a question, and they know that I'll be able to answer it. And if I don't know the answer, I'll find the answer and come back to them with it. And I think that once you get that culture right, every division can grow in itself.
Yeah.
We got to a point, obviously, when Liz Truss did the mini budget, we'd taken off. We were doing absolutely amazing. We went from selling 20 houses a month, and then that collapsed pretty much overnight when the money budget came in. And it meant we went down to literally 4 sales because no one could afford the mortgages. And it had to be cash purchases. No one could move, no one could pay the charges. Basically stopped the market again. So we said, right, at that point, we need to diversify because we built this. Unless we diversify and find a way where we've got constant income coming in, we're going to be stuck. So we went out and we took external investment into the firm, and we needed to do it just to keep the doors open. I'm not going to turn around to my staff who have given up their life to work for me and are sat in the office day in, day out doing everything, and tell them that I can't afford to pay them and I'm going to make them redundant because I don't never want to get to that point. I'd rather me not take a penny than watch my staff suffer. So it meant, look, if we've got to give away a certain percentage of our business to be able to do that, that's what I'm willing to do. And it meant that we then created the lettings division. Right.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't like lettings. I'm not, I don't like being involved with it day to day. I think that there's a lot more issues that come with lettings. Sometimes it can be a different caliber of clientele that you're dealing with, and people are a lot more precious about things. But if you're dealing with it day to day, there's a lot of things that can get you bogged down.
Yeah.
I'm all about a
Yeah.
positive mental attitude. And if I know that that's not my strong point, it means I'm going to get someone in who lives, eats, and breathes it, and they love it. And it just meant I were able to basically find the right person and say, I need you to run this division completely, and I'm going to put my entire trust in you to do so. I'm here if you need help. I'm here if you need support. I'm here to help in every direction that you need it. However, I want you to set up this division. And that's what we did. And we found Jason, who is our lettings director. And today was his 2-year anniversary.
What anniversary date?
Yeah. It literally came in this morning and they were like, we've got presents, got balloons and everything, just to say like happy anniversary. And he came around to me, well, I'm past 2 years now, Anna. I'm part of furniture because you can't get rid of me.
Well, you know what? That's a testament to your company culture, isn't it? Making people feel welcome and making the effort, because a lot of companies out there, they just wouldn't care.
No.
They'll just be like, oh, you're just a number. And sometimes the bigger the company, the less they care. And it'll be really important for you to keep that. And I feel like you're the type of person that will want to keep that
Yeah.
as you grow.
It's
Yeah.
what I've said is I will never be a CEO who sat behind a desk who's not involved in the front line. This is
Yeah.
because if you're not involved in it from that step, you don't know what's happening. You get disconnected from it. The market changes constantly. And I think unless you're out there and you're dealing with customers and you're dealing with clients, there's too
Agreed.
much of the business wrap up that you get stuck in where you're looking at facts and figures. And I think that's what's happened within the corporate world. They've become so far disconnected from what happens on the front line that it is about facts and figures. It is about what's on a spreadsheet, and it's about making a business run rather than actually putting the care in that's needed to each customer. And that's why if it is that I'm training agents to be the best that they can be, stuff comes out constantly. Like tech changes, marketing changes, the way in which solicitors deal with things changes. And unless you're in it and seeing what's happening, how are you then meant to train someone and advise them on the next steps and how they can go around it differently if you're not in it? So I've
Yeah.
always said that no matter what, no matter where the company goes, I still want to be involved in it.
Yeah.
So I have a small handful of clients that I will still look after. Um, they have my mobile number because obviously I am busy, but I also know that I've built a culture around me to know that those clients are looked after at all points. If I'm going to teach people how to win an instruction, I need to make sure that I can win an instruction. If I'm going to
Practice what
teach
you
people
preach.
how to sell a home, I need to make
Yeah,
sure
yeah, yeah.
I can sell a home. It's one of them that you lead by example. I think there's so many people out there that turn around and say that they're gurus in something, or they're trying to train and develop, but they've never actually done it themselves.
Mm,
How is that
yeah,
going to help someone?
yeah.
Like, they're not dealing with the day to day. They're not seeing what happens day to day. So how are they meant to give advice on something that's not right? Or they're so far disconnected from that they can't do it.
I see. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you touched a little bit on technology, and I think mentioned before about introducing sort of AI into your sort of processes when it comes to getting leads in and the lettings process as well. That whole world. So, what impact has that had? I mean, where do you still see sort of untapped potential for technology in your business? I mean,
So
for
with
you,
with AI at the minute, we use it a lot on our marketing. So all of our images, we do use AI to be able to do a lot of the editing for us. If we've got a vacant property, so again, even on lettings and stuff like that, we will virtually stage them as well so that the individual can see what it's going to look like when it's got furniture in them. End of the day,
yeah,
it's a marketing company. You have to be able to envisage yourself living in a property, and if it's bare walls, you're not going to have that opportunity to think, oh, I can put a bed there, I can do that, I can do this. And it's about opening people's eyes up to things. So on the marketing side, we use AI on that, but then we also look at how we can streamline our processes. So sales is sales. At the end of the day, if you are dealing with sales, you've got to speak to a person, because no matter how much AI evolves, it's that personal connection that sells things. You don't necessarily, you buy people, people buy people. They don't buy robots. And if I think if you lose that within a sales division, you lose the entire continuity of it. You lose what the ethos is it. So
think,
one of the
yeah,
things that we have done and we're looking at the moment is lettings is a different kettle of fish. So sales is one thing, that's a different beast. Lettings is another. So within the
mm,
lettings division, a lot of it is that basically taking calls, booking in, and you decide whether you want it. You send your application form, you fill it all in, so on and so forth. You then set your dates, you do your inventories, so on and so forth. But lettings is less of a sale, if that makes sense. It's more of a commodity.
yeah,
So what we've found is that if we integrate something which releases workload from those individuals, the individuals can do a lot more when it comes to viewing and building that personal connection. So an AI integration that we're looking at the moment is when people ring up for lettings, it is an
yeah,
AI assistant that answers that phone.
yeah,
However, the AI doesn't sound like AI. You think you're speaking to a person, and they are designed to be a lot more transactional, which lettings is. I think sales
yes,
is a lot more personality based, whereas lettings comes with a transactional base. You're corporate in everything that you have to do because it's so regulated. And
yes,
there is so many different aspects to it. So when it is that someone rings up and books a viewing and says, right, I want to book in at X property. Hi, that's completely fine. I'll book you into that one. It's 3 bedrooms. It's in this area. Just so that you're aware, we've also got other properties that are 3 bedrooms within a quarter of a mile. Do you want me to book you into those ones at the same time? And the AI does all this for us. That will literally turn around, it will offer them different properties to be able to book into, but it will also take the information that we need. So it will ask them questions that will determine whether that person is going to pass referencing or not. If it's that they're in employment, if it how much it is that they're earning, what it is that we can look at, and then the AI will then look at what properties we've got available, which ones they will pass referencing on, and then put them into those properties at that same time. That will then automatically book into the agent's diaries so that they can go out, they can do the viewing, they know that the person that's turning up is going to pass referencing on the property, they know that it's right for them, they know everything that's happening from that point. If it is that they turn around and say, yeah, we want to go ahead, it's sent automatically to our referencing company with all of the information that's been asked straight away. It'll then send them an email asking for any further information. Referencing is then done through AI to see whether they're going to pass. You ask it, obviously, for credit checks, personal data. It'll then send emails out for guarantors. It'll send employment contracts. It'll check everything up on that side.
Mm.
Then it'll come back to us and say that this person has passed or not. If it is that they've passed, there's holding deposits, so on and so forth, which are done at that point, so that it's taken off. And then we'll look to set the dates. And again, that'll all be done via AI. So that then when the person goes out, they're going out to do the inventory, they upload the inventory, and then when it is that that person moves out, they submit another inventory, and the AI
Mm.
then cross matches everything against the properties in the previous photos and comes back to us to say, this is different in this image. There's some damage here. What has happened at this point? And the AI basically does all that for us so that it takes away what a human can potentially miss. And instead, it's data captured and it gives us what it is that we need, all date stamped and everything at that point.
Amazing. Yeah. I would have thought it, 10, 15 years ago that this would have been something that we're implementing at the
See, I,
moment,
I love it. My business
Yeah.
partners, it does frighten him a little bit. I think he sees more along the lines of it's going to be robots take over the world.
Yeah.
I think unless uh, the reality is that the industries are getting so hard to work in, the profit lines are dropping. Yes, there is a human element that is needed, but there's also humans can make quite a few mistakes. And I think that if AI is set up correctly, it can take that
Yeah.
away and allow you to do the job that you are good at
Yes.
because it's
Yeah.
never going to be fully automated. I think this is an industry where it can't be. And I think that there has been some online agencies in the past and still going now that
Yeah.
the budgets have come back and basically shown that if it is that you strip away that human connection, the completion rate will drop dramatically. The costs that are incurred will increase dramatically because you've given too much to AI or you've taken too much away with that human connection isn't there anymore. It can't
Yeah.
find problems that a human can see and digest and analyze a bit more.
Well,
This is the thing. So I were looking up at it and it said that estate agency is going to be one of the jobs that could potentially be wiped out. And
mm,
I don't see how that can happen
mm,
when it is the biggest financial decision of your life. I can understand it on small, like if it is that you're looking at a buy to let property, a small rental property, or that you're looking at buying it below market value and it's stock, if that makes sense.
yeah.
But I think when there's the human element to it, you need to know that you can trust the individual that you're working with. And I think that how is AI going to negotiate?
There's so much that comes into the negotiation process. I just don't feel like you never know. It might get there, but that human element, I can't. I think where AI really plays a big part right now is systems and processes, the back end.
If it is that you're writing documents and stuff like that, the human element is going to create spelling mistakes. It's going to create issues that are there and typos. And I think AI allows you to eradicate that quite substantially. Obviously, you have to sense check it. And I think like, especially within our CRM system, there's an AI function which is built into it. It writes basically synopsises about the properties. It tells you everything about it. But I think it's so driven into what it thinks it should say that it doesn't actually add what it is about the property. So, prime example, we had a 2-bedroom terraced house that had been trashed. Okay. It wasn't in a great area there in saying that. There was drug dealers next door. It wasn't cracking.
Yeah,
Put it into AI, and AI then came back with this charming 2-bed desirable property in the quaint escape that is
yeah,
village. And we're just like, no. Yeah, done for mis-selling if we put that out.
No. You might just about get someone to the property, and then it'll be like, yeah, we all feel you fool people once, won't you? And then,
Yeah, but
yeah,
it's not
there's
a
your
quiet, picturesque village. It's
yeah,
a mining
yeah, it's
village that's
yeah.
been left into poverty, and there's a drug dealer next door. So, and I think that's the reality. It's not, you need to have that human element of it to be able to check what it is that it's coming out with.
Grown quite a big sort of local following now. So, what's working for you in terms of visibility, and what do you think sort of most agents still get wrong in marketing in the
I think we've gone down the route of using social media quite heavily, and I think that that provides a lot bigger presence. So we use the same technology for tracking. So let's say, for example, you go onto Google, you type in a washing machine, then all you see is washing machines for the next 6 weeks, absolutely everywhere. The reality is that the new stats have come out to say that the average person spends 6 hours a day on a mobile phone. They're not spending 6 hours a day on Rightmove or Zoopla or on the market or any of the other portals that are out there, but they are spending a lot of that time on social media, whether it's that they're doing their own marketing through it, whether it's that they're scrolling, they're waking up in the morning, they're having a look through things, so on and so forth. But I think social media has become such a huge thing in people's day-to-day lives now that even if you're not on it yourself, someone who knows you is. And if it is that you're looking for a property, someone knows that you're looking for a property. The thing with direct target marketing, social media holds so much private information about the individual. So let's say that it's a 2-bed terraced home, first time buyer, or perfect for investment. So we know from our stats that the average person that's going to be buying this is going to be aged between 22 to 42. We know that they're more than likely going to be in a relationship because trying to buy a property on your own isn't necessarily the easiest thing or the most affordable thing to do right now. So we know their age. We know that they're either going to be employed or self-employed, otherwise they're not going to be able to get a mortgage. We know that 75% of people move within a 5-mile radius of where they currently are because of work commitments, childcare commitments, so on and so forth. You've then got a
yeah,
further 10% of people that will move to a 15-mile radius. And that's so that they can be a little bit too far away from the parents where they're not just going to walk in and they have to ring up and make sure that they can turn up before they do. So, and I think it's right. The reality is that social media holds all that information about you. It tells you, you know how old their kids are, you know whether the kids are in primary school, you know what age they are, so on and so forth. So if it is that you know who your buyer is more than likely going to be, you put all that information into the back of the advertisement that you're putting out. So we use a lot of reels, we use a lot of presenter-led videos to be able to introduce properties to people, but we put a tracker on the back of that individual that meets the criteria of that buyer. So it then puts it out there and that video then auto plays in their newsfeed. We tend to clock up about 20,000 views on each video, but we know that they're the direct buyers for that property. They might not have even thought about it. They might not have been on Rightmove. They might not have been on Zoopla. They might not have been on the market or anything like that. So they don't know that they're buyers before they see something that's put in front of them. And if once you can put something in front of people beforehand, it's about the marketing. If you get the marketing right and you get it in front of the person that it's meant to be in front of, then you will sell properties a lot quicker.
yeah,
But not only quicker, you'll sell them for a lot more. So
yeah.
we tend to find that we go above asking price on nearly every single one of our properties because we get enough people interested that we can drive the price up rather than coming down. And
Mm,
if you've got it marketed right, if you've got the price right, if you've got absolutely everything right in between, then all
mm,
that will happen and it'll create that growth and it'll create everything around it. But not only that, it's growth for the company because if
yeah,
20,000 people are seeing a video that they're not looking on Rightmove and Zoopla, they're not seeing that little tiny box in the bottom corner, or it's not about boards. A lot of people don't necessarily like having boards outside the house anymore. They don't want the neighbours
Yeah.
to know that they're moving. They're quite private. Whereas if you can hit social media in that aspect, you are
Mm.
building yourself dramatically. One of the most scary stats that I saw is that over 90% of all purchases are made via the internet or via a mobile device. So why aren't you tapping that industry if it's being used through social media? Higher end stock, you're going to be going down the LinkedIn route. If you're looking at lower end stock, it depends on what your age ranges are. So if you're using TikTok, if you're using Instagram, if you're using Facebook, I know I'm a big Facebook booker, but that's because I'm 33. Apparently, 20 odd year olds don't use that anymore. So got to keep diversifying. But I think that's why it helps to have that team around you so that you can get everyone's ideas. And I think you've got to have a multicultural business with everyone's ideas coming in because everyone has to be different age ranges. Yes, you do need some young ones. Yes, you do need some older ones. You need that experience around you to be able to share and grow.
Absolutely. It's all about testing as well. Just keep testing,
Yeah.
different copy, different creatives, whether it's an organic post photo or is it if it's a video, 2D animation, or if it's a reel or a short little TikTok video. There's so many different ways in engaging people. It's just about, and the thing is, algorithms change. You think you've got it nailed, and they change it, and then you've got to learn all over again. And that's just some might say the beauty of it. Some might say it's just a big pain in the ass, and what can you do? But that's just the way it is.
The thing is that if you're not testing yourself, you're not growing.
Yeah,
What
yeah, yeah,
worked
exactly.
10 years ago, and then I think this is a really big thing to say. Yes, they change the algorithms and you have to relearn it and you have to start all over again. But if you look at where we've come in 10, 15 years, like when I started in a estate agency, we were putting ads in newspapers. You were taking out a double spread and you were using the likes of clip art to stick it into certain places, or you'd have it laid out on your table and you'd start putting images in places. It has to move forward because people don't read the newspaper anymore.
So you're, looking to run your own events, and you already run your own events. So tell us a bit about that. What drove you to kind of want to go into that space as well?
So me and my business partner, we do development and investment separately to the agency, which means we've been involved in it. We know what happens on a day to day. What really annoyed us more than anything is that we were seeing people that were selling courses on teaching people how to invest in property. And there were a lot of lies that were being put out. And it was about charging people thousands of pounds to have information that was based on a lie. We're in the industry. We know how many properties come up. We know how to get a hold of things. We know what situation people are in. We also know that people can go out there and turn around to you and said, "Oh, you can become a sourcer, you can become this, you can do that, the other." But the reality of the day to day of doing that, it doesn't work. And they're charging thousands of pounds to be able to do it. So one thing that I wanted to do was create a business that was a one-stop shop. So it meant that people could come in, they could learn about property, they had a place where we could find them properties, we could refurb the properties, we could sell the properties, or we could let the properties, and we could create a pension for them. Because let's be honest, the pension scheme and exactly what's happening at the minute, and the fact that we've got so many political things that are happening, we don't know where it's going to go. I wouldn't be surprised if there is no state pension for me when I get older. So I have to protect myself. And this is a conversation that I have with lots of other people is that if there isn't going to be anything for me when I get older, is there going to be anything for you? Is there going to be, could anything happen within government that just stops that instantly? Or have you protected your income so that you can get to a point that you're not 70 and still working 40 hours a week, that you can enjoy your
Yeah,
retirement and that you've got an income that's coming in to be able to help you and survive. So with everything that was happening and with all these companies that are out there that were selling this false lie, I said, look, I don't want that. What I prefer to do is hold events that are 30 quid a ticket, but give real life investor stories. Have investors that are there that have done this day in, day out and share the pitfalls, share the positives, share everything that comes with it, and explain to people don't be looking for 100K flips at a time.
Mm.
take your 10K flips, take your 20K flips. Create a scenario where you've got money that you're investing, but if inflation is going up like that and your money's sat in the bank, you're actually losing money while it's in the bank. So why is it in the bank? Why put it into something that's going to create you an income and go up in value at the same time?
Yeah.
So it was more about retraining individuals as well and also in their mindset. I
Yes.
want to say something which is quite scary now, and it's how I start a lot of my events. And I never want to be mortgage free. To most people, that is just like, well, why wouldn't you? You go to work, you work a 9 to 5, you pay down your mortgage, and then you enjoy it because you've got nothing to pay. No, I want other people to pay my mortgage.
Yeah.
I want to create a life where I've got assets that pay for my liabilities. So that other people or other industries or different incomes that I've got coming in pay for that. And it means that I don't have to use my time to create that wealth, because wealth isn't just money in the bank, it's time. It's being happy. It's creating that side of things. And I think that the education sector, I think the way in which they train people, I think what happens in schools is so much you go to work, you do a 9 to 5, and you trade your time for money.
Yeah. It's all geared up for being employed and not running your own business at all. There's nothing around for that. You've got to look externally away from the
Yeah.
standard national curriculum. You go to a teacher, say, "Well, run your own business." You won't ever get support for it
No.
because it's just geared up that way.
Yeah.
Archaic, uh, way outdated. Probably outdated by 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, need to, you know, I think that's a massive thing that needs to change right now.
And this is something why I'm going to be going into schools and I'm going to be teaching them about property. I'm going to be teaching them about your credit file, why it affects you, whether you can get a mortgage, teaching them about limited company risks, stuff like that. Because if people don't know about it, they're never going to explore it or even know that it's an option for them to explore. Well, I've got ADHD. I am that individual. To be quite fair, I wouldn't be surprised if more than 50% of the, the country's got it, we're just undiagnosed. But I got kicked out of every single class. I got good grades, but I was kicked out of every single class for being disruptive because it was that I needed the attention. I didn't. I'd just picked up and I'd run with it and I've got it. And I was like, right, okay, what can I do next? You're
Yeah,
always looking
yeah,
for that next thing. And I think that the schooling system is you sit down, you do this, you learn this, you don't cause it. Whereas I think it needs to be more picked up on the fact of you're entrepreneurial. You've done that, you're on to the next thing. Right, okay, let's work with that and see you as an entrepreneur and not as an individual that's going to go and do a 9 to 5 because it's never going to fit that personality. It does for some, it doesn't for others.
you set a really bold goal is to basically cover the whole of Yorkshire within the next 5 years. So what will success look like for you personally and professionally when that milestone arrives?
See, this is a hard question for me. I'm always striving for something more. I'll never
Mm.
sit back. I'll never stop. But I think what will happen is once we've set the footprint, once we've got to the point that we can show that we've done this, we've got that financial backing. Because I think that's one of the hardest things. And it's like I said to you before. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon. I wasn't given
Mm.
anything. My mum started her career in a knicker factory. She then made it to one of the head managers of ASOS. My dad started in the pit. He then went on to be in the police and so on and so forth. But I came from a working class family and that's it. So it was, if you want something, you've got to go out and achieve it. And I think the financial backing of something is something that's held us back. And it's meant that we've got to we can't just go out and go national overnight because the reality is to go national overnight, it's going to cost millions to be able to
Yeah,
put into it. And you might not have the right foundations set for it to work well. So if we can show that we've done it and we've taken over the whole of Yorkshire, And we've made it so that we've created something that's different, that works, that people have got the support in and that they're happy with, and we keep that 5-star rating. I think for me, it's the customer service rating means so much more because it means that people are being looked after. And I can't stress that enough. If it's that I can take over Yorkshire, keep our rating, then it'll be that we will use that footprint to take it into different counties at a time and recreate it and see what we can do there. Eventually, look, I'd love to say that we've become a national agent, but I think that everything has to be right underneath. I think that
Yeah,
you need to have the right structure. I think that the processes have to be correct. I think that if you can do it, you can replicate it, but I want to make sure that it's safe before I go and, yeah, you know what I mean? You don't want to run before you can walk. But it means I need the right people around me. And if it like we're recruiting but we want to recruit the right people. We want people that want to create something for themselves, but have the backing and the support and still have everything there, rather than it be that you run off to set off your own business and you've got no support there. We want to get the right people in and we want to help them grow. To me, it's not just about me and my company. It's about knowing that I've done right by that individual. Does that make yeah.
absolutely.
I've got
100%.
to make
I
sure
love
that
it.
I'm looking after them because they're putting their time in to help me and my business. I want to make sure that they're right in their business, and I wanna make sure that they've got every element that they need to be able to succeed in it. And I think this is one of the hard things about recruiting is, uh, the selling sunset. It's sold this fantastic dream of what a state agency is, but the reality is that people can come into it not knowing how much legislation there is, not knowing what happens in the back, and how hard it is to keep some sales together. And success rate in listed to completed, your corporates, some of them are at literally 30% of listed to sold. I think one of the things that you have to realize is that if you're going to put 100% customer service to your client, that you're going into a model where you're having to do all the work yourself, you're then in a position where the maximum that you can look after is about 8 sales per month maximum because the workload is too much. Whereas if you've got a big support team around you that are doing a lot of the administration, are doing the marketing, are doing all that stuff for you, then you're able to then grow your business and train other people to create their businesses at the same point and build your downline, build everything else with it, but do it in the right structure.
Yeah, yeah.
And so,
So,
yeah, it's
Georgina, honestly, it's been brilliant to have you here. Thank you so much for your honesty, great energy, and I look forward to seeing how you get on over the next sort of coming years. It's going to be great to see.
thank you. Fingers crossed.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
No, thank you.